Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Where the Mind Wanders with Spoons and Joe. Say hi, Spoons.
Hey there.
And in our regular fashion, we're going to just let the mind wander today. And I guess I always state this at the end anyway, but let's sandwich it in the middle like we usually do, is that you can catch us on YouTube at 3:30 Eastern Standard Time on every Monday, where we have our premiere. And we also have a Telegram channel, and eventually we'll get onto other platforms, and we'll let you know when we do. Um, so Spoons, I'm gonna throw this on you to get us started, at least get the ball rolling. Is there anything that's been on your mind that we want to start wandering upon or wander off of? I guess is the better way to put it.
Mm, yeah, I don't know. There's in true fashion, this has been like a crazy week already for me. So lots of stuff going on in the background. In the process of well, I guess technically I've already purchased it, but I bought an RV this week. So that's my next move. So I'm trying to get all that stuff together to have it ready next month to move into. So kind of an interesting time of downsizing and reevaluating everything physically in my life. What's going to get to stay and what's going to have to go. So that's kind of where my brain's been at the last several days, it seems like. Um, what else? I don't know. There's been a lot of stuff going on in the background. Trying to think. We talked about some things beforehand. And I'm totally drawing a blank on some of that.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah, we discussed a little bit about Robert Monroe. Um,
Yeah.
um, the whole idea of astral projection and out of body experiences and how they can actually be induced by brainwave entrainment, as well as you can learn techniques to leave the body, which, if anything else, shows you that if you're totally a materialist, or you're you may intuitively know there's more to it, but you haven't experienced anything to, I guess, verify it. Um, Out of body of experiences definitely will show you that you're not the body, if anything else, which shows that, you know, it has a lot of implications, obviously. So obviously the whole atheist materialist, you're just going to go into a nothingness void after you die is kind of silly after that. um, and yeah, if you Um, I get on an intuitive level, I think most people know there's more to than what meets the eye, so to speak. There's more than just the material world. There's more than just you as a body organism. Like there is a call it spiritual element, and while I don't see out of body experiences like astral projection and in that sense necessarily to be a spiritual experience. It's very metaphysical, but what it, if anything, it shows you that there's more than what meets the eye. There's more in just the material world, and that was something I experimented with. Probably like 2014, I want to say.
Mm,
I heard of the idea, um, and one of the first people I learned from was Robert Monroe. He wrote a few books, Journeys Out of Body. I don't remember what they're all called, but uh, basically, Robert Monroe was this audio engineer. He was a scientist by training, and he just
mhm.
randomly started having out of body experiences where he would leave the body. He would still be in the room, for example, and then come back into his body and be like, okay, that's kind of beyond what I thought reality was. And then he looked more into it and started to find that he trained, taught himself to leave the body at will.
Mhm.
And he was an audio engineer, and he wanted to know if there's certain brain waves because we kind of knew that certain things go on in your in the brain and nervous system. The brain waves change, like when you go to sleep and you dream, for example. So he started looking into that, and he found by experimentation that if you can train the brain waves to about a data state, which would be the same brain waves that are you see in like sleep, like a dreaming sleep, like REM sleep, that kind of deal. Um, um, and he did experimenting with audio frequencies. He discovered that if, for example, if you play like 100 hertz in one ear and 104 hertz in the other ear, that it creates like this difference between like a phantom of 4 hertz, and the brain
Mhm.
starts entraining to that phantom to make up the difference. Um, uh, and at 4 hertz, he discovered you can induce out of body experiences uh, um, in different subjects, and he started experimenting and teaching other people how to leave the body. And he's using binaural beats to enhance the process, to speed it up, so to speak.
Mhm.
Um, and eventually, they started the Monroe Institute, where I think it still exists to this day, where you can go there and you could stay there for like a month, and they will teach you how to leave the body out at will. And
Mhm.
so yeah, anyway, so I was wondering about all that. Because at that point in my life, I intuitively felt like there's more than what meets the eye, but I never experienced it any as such.
Mhm.
Um, so I started experimenting with it, as I generally do with anything, what works, what doesn't work. Um, and after a couple months of experimenting with it, um, I got to the point where it's almost like you feel like you're vibrating, um, like internally. Um, and they say that's like the step beforehand. So I'm like, oh, I guess I might be getting in the right direction anyway. And
Mhm.
after a couple months, I had my first astral projection. Um, I left the body. Uh, I found myself in a different realm, and pretty quickly I became unconscious because you're conscious of this whole process. Like, but pretty quickly I became unconscious and I just drifted into a dream. And so I kept experimenting with it, trying to stay conscious, like, like, and there was one night in particular I was doing it. I was using binaural beats for that process, and I came out of my body, and this time I was in the room, my room, and I probably went like halfway between the bed and the ceiling. And at the foot of my bed, I noticed these few figures, like I call them shadow people, and they had like, if anybody knows, like the old gangster movies, those hats they used to wear, like back in the 20s or whatever. There was these group of figures, I don't know, three or four of them. I don't know the number, but they were like staying in a circle at the foot of my bed, talking with one another. I didn't hear what they were saying. I just knew they were talking with one another. And I noticed them, and then I noticed they noticed me, and they noticed that I noticed them. And then I panicked and I snapped back into my body like if you had a nightmare. I was like, oh, like heart pounding, like just full of anxiety. I'm like, what the what was that? Like, and I would say after that I was too chicken shit to ever just reject again. I kept attempting to do it, but I was like, there's just like anxiety. I didn't want to separate from my body because I didn't know what was in the room with me. Like, so
Yeah.
yeah, and since then I kind of gave up on it. But if anything, it showed me, it gave me a taste, one of my first true tastes that there's some more to the world than what meets the eye. Um,
Mhm.
And yeah, some people astral project at will all the time, and you can learn how to do it. Um, there's plenty of books written on the subject. Robert Monroe's are some of the best, in my opinion. And I guess you can even like go to the Monroe Institute and they'll teach you. You pay them, you spend a few weeks there or whatever, and by the time you leave, you can astral project, and you can prove to yourself that you are not the body, and there is a more than what meets the eye in this whole materialistic uh, thinking that you're just the body and just the material world, and what happens after you die. It kind of like clears that up. So
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah. Makes sense. Yeah, that sounds trippy. Like that last experience you had. I don't think I'd want to do it after that either. I guess the only thing even remotely close that I have to relate to that is I worked second shift for like a long time. And so I was taking melatonin for like a good solid year. And one of the side effects of taking melatonin consistently is you can start having really vivid dreams.
Mhm.
And I did that one time. I got trapped in like a nightmare. Um, so I was at work at the ER and I was working the triage, and one of the people I was trying to get all their information. They just took out a knife and started stabbing me. And they just kept stabbing me and I couldn't wake up. And I was just like, I didn't work up there for like 4 or 5 months. I refused. I just kept like trading off with the other nurses. I'm like, I can't go up there and sit in that chair. I'm gonna die. Sort of thing. So I've never taken another melatonin either. Like it's a great, like if you need to use it every once in a while to go to sleep, great. But I don't recommend long term.
Hmm.
I would never risk it. Crazy. I've always told people like it's like getting trapped in that nightmare where you're falling and you're about to hit the ground and just hitting the ground over and over and over
Hmm.
because it's just like yeah, it's awful. Um, yeah, I don't know the whole out of body experience stuff and astral projection and even like the lucid dreaming stuff. I don't know. I like hearing people's stories. I like hearing people talk about their experiences and stuff, but I've never felt drawn to do any of that stuff for whatever reason.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe if you've experienced enough where, it's not really a question for you. Like it, I really think your curiosity is driven kind of by like, is this real or is this my imagination? Like, or like I said, you kind of intuit that there might be something more, but you're not sure. I think a lot of
Yeah.
people are more on the level of intuiting that there's something, but they're not quite sure, and they generally seem to overcompensate. Um, uh, but an interesting thing is like, because I participate in consciousness research through like calibrating through kinesiology and whatnot. And one thing about astral projection or lucid dreaming is your level of consciousness doesn't change like
Hmm.
from the experience. Um, However, near-death experiences change somebody permanently. Like a
Hmm.
near-death experience is more like when somebody actually dies and they let go of the body and the whole story altogether. Because when you do astral project, you're still you. Like you're still the
Hmm.
same mind, you're still the same ego.
Yeah.
I can account for that. Yeah, it's like you're just experiencing something out of the body, whether it be another realm or if you're just floating around your room or whatever. But In a near-death experience, you literally drop the whole story of your life. Like in a sense, you wake up from the dream. Um, and regardless of the experience, because some people have near-death experiences, they experience like heaven or whatever. They have different experiences. Like some people go to hell. Like
Mhm.
my father had a friend, for example, who was you know, I guess you could say he's not the wasn't the nicest guy on the planet. And but he had a asthma attack one time. His diaphragm locked and he couldn't breathe, and he eventually, not enough oxygen. He passed out, and like they called the paramedics and whatever, and he physically died for like 7 minutes or something like that before they resuscitated. And he told us about he wound up surviving, and he told us about his experience. And he said in his experience, when the body dropped, he was still standing, but he said he like his consciousness was kind of like he said it felt like it was stuck at an angle, but the body had fell, and he could see everything in the room from that vantage point, even though his body fell on the ground and passed out, but he still saw everything that was going on in his room. In the room, I think he says his wife was there, if I recall correctly. Regardless, he saw everybody in the room. He saw the paramedics come and all that. Um, he said there was like a golden light in the room that illuminated the room. And he said, and the next thing he knew, the light vanished, and he felt like he went to hell, and uh, um, where he was stuck in this eternal hell. And eventually he went into oblivion, and then he woke up in the hospital.
Mm.
Um, and he was never the same after that experience. And from what I understand, most people are never the same after having that experience, whether they have a good experience or a bad experience. One guy that comes to my mind, I forgot the guy's name. Um, he was this guy from North Carolina. He got struck by lightning. He actually got
Mhm.
struck by lightning 3 times or something like that.
Oh
And
gosh.
each time he died. And he was like by his own testimonial, not the nicest guy. He used to beat people with baseball bats and all kinds of stuff like that. He had a bad temper, and he died. And when he came back, he devoted his life to God, and like and he wrote some books about it. I forgot. I can't recall this guy's name though at the moment. I just know he's like this North Carolina guy with this deep North Carolina accent. Like, um, but it was a lot of people keep coming back with the same experiences. And wondering thing through consciousness research is that when you have an astral projection or a lucid dream or something like that, your consciousness doesn't change. But um, when you have a near death experience, it like jumps up like 100 or 200 points or something like that. Like,
Huh.
and the near death experience calibrates anywhere from like five. I don't remember the exact number, but anywhere from 560 to 650 or something like that. So it's a very high state of consciousness. So you're
Hmm.
literally experiencing your higher self, so to speak. You're experiencing more of the divine presence, and being exposed to that energy changes you for the rest of your life, um, even if it's a bad experience. And um, and I found that very interesting. Um,
Hmm.
I never had a near death experience. I've had that experience that I've told our viewers about before, I believe, but where I know for a fact that we're not. This is a dream. Like it's just
Yeah.
like Einstein said about time. Time is is an illusion, but it's a very persistent one. Life is a illusion, but it's a very persistent one. The ego is a illusion, but it's a very persistent one. So anyway, I'll hand it over to you.
I don't know that I've got really any good commentary on that. I mean, it's interesting. Um, I don't know, like listening to you over the last 6 months or so talk about different calibrations with the kinesiology and how just even like a few points difference can like change a lot of stuff. This stuff's fascinating.
It's definitely once you get the hang of it, it's a very useful tool. Um, very useful and something anybody can do too. You just it just takes practice and it takes being honest with yourself and willing to burn away what you think you know. Like, um, but you experiment it with for 3 months because it's like anybody can do it. You just
Mhm.
have to find a way to do it integriously and want to know what the truth is. And it is a valuable tool. And when you start, because it's just an arbitrary scale, like from 1 to 1,000, but it's measuring a certain essence of a certain energy of consciousness, so to speak. And um, one useful thing is like I've found is that if you say you get a number on one thing, say it's, I don't know, 65, and then
Mhm.
you start looking up anything else that's been calibrated at 65, and you see starts to see very clear patterns, like
Yeah.
um, and you can even mm, yeah, use it to your own personal development too by recognizing certain patterns, like even patterns within yourself, and seeing how they have played out in humanity throughout history, and um,
Mhm.
seeing what behaviors or people or events are at that same energy level, because everything is coming out of an energy, um, manifesting out of an energy, I guess is the best way I can say, because it's an overall non-linear kind of energy, and then everything is manifesting out of these various different levels, because the human realm on this scale would be anywhere from like 1 to 1,000, and you can see all these different things arising, and that's why the world is very complicated and complex, because there's all these different energies manifesting and playing out in perfect, I don't know the word, um, perfect harmony with everything else. Like even the most grotesque and negative is like playing out against the most divine. It's like this realm is very um, obviously is a realm for us to grow. It's very obvious, because we
Yeah.
have all these different energies interacting here, and you have so many different ways you can go, and you have access as a human to very high states of energy, a very high state of consciousness that in other realms you don't have access to. I mean, it's your choice if you access it or not, but the point being is the opportunity exists, and um,
Yeah. I think it's interesting because, the energies around us. I mean, it just kind of also goes to show you that what you surround yourself with is important, people and things, because everything has a certain energy to it. And while, I don't know, I don't know, I suppose you can have some lower energy stuff around and it's fine to a certain degree. Um, I suppose that helps bring up the lower energy stuff within yourself that we work on, kind of
absolutely.
thing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean,
we need, uh,
oh,
we
sorry, I
need
didn't
the
mean.
things we need.
Yeah.
Um, so, yeah, I don't know. It's
Yeah,
interesting.
it definitely brings up things within you to work on because technically we're all part of the highest of the energies. Um, and this world, it gives you opportunities to bring up things that are within you to process. I think we are even kind of floated into that on our last episode when we were talking about looking into criminology and stuff like that. Because technically, all those same energies exist within you, or you wouldn't be human. You wouldn't be in this realm. You'd be in some heavenly celestial realm, but you're not. You're stuck with the rest of us. Um, so yeah, you have that going on inside you. People are just in kind of denial of it, and it's not. It just doesn't dominate you like certain people are completely possessed and dominated by those energies.
Mhm.
Um, but interacting in the world, and it's been advised actually by most um, that it's not even that beneficial to become a monk or a nun for the most part and go separate yourself from the world because you want to be in the world because your world brings up your garbage. And a part
Mhm.
of being in this realm is to interact with all that um, because it's helping you process out your own stuff. Um, And as for yeah, aligning yourself with certain energies, like taking having a specific attention to align yourself with an energy is different than interacting with it because you have no choice but to interact with these energies as long as you're in this realm called Earth. Like, but
Mhm.
there's a difference between interacting with it and intentionally choosing it. Like
Yeah.
to align yourself with it, I guess it's a better way. Because if you, when you align yourself with it, it starts manifesting um, unconscious to you. Like it starts manifesting. You start accumulating what the in the East they call karma. Like, um, but as for you're not going to experience, you're always as long as you're in this world, you're going to have to experience it. It's just there's a difference between experiencing it and choosing it. Like you, that's your whole free will. If you want to align with it. Um,
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just kind of laughing because you're like talking about experiencing lower energies. Well, I spent a portion of the day at the DMV, so I can say I
uh,
experienced some lower energies today. Just pretty funny. Oh.
yeah, it's the DMV is the same no matter where you are in the world. Last time Sandra went to the DMV, they almost called the cops on her
I mean,
because
I didn't get upset. I didn't get to register my vehicle today, but it wasn't her fault. I didn't have all the proper paperwork. Um, and anytime the other time that I bought a motor home, they're just a nightmare. They're an absolute nightmare to try to get registered because there's two different VIN numbers on them. There's just all of these different model numbers and makes, and it's always difficult to get them registered. So I get to travel back down to Alabama tomorrow and get a new title and try again. So I get to do more DMV stuff tomorrow, I guess.
fun, fun.
Uh, yeah. I just try to it's a good test of patience because they're doing the best that they can.
Mm.
To say it's complicated is just the understatement of the year.
Yeah, it's bureaucracy. It's always like that. Um,
Uh,
I haven't dealt with the DMV personally in like a decade now. I haven't had a car myself in like a decade. Um, I ride the bike or take public transportation, or Sandra's had a car the last few years. If, every now and then I'll drive her car, but this year, however, I'm buying my own car, so I'm gonna have to experience the DMV this year sometime at some point. And You think American bureaucracy is bad? You tried German bureaucracy. They have the
Oh, I can only
stereotype
imagine.
for a reason. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, man. It's crazy. I'm just hoping I can get all of that sort of stuff um, situated and not lose my mind. So, as I said, I suppose I'm working on patience.
Mm,
Um, the last couple of weeks, working on like the letting go stuff and all of that. I've been working on anger quite a lot, so it's kind of hilarious that this is all coming up now. These are the perfect scenarios to work on anger, right?
yeah, totally.
not losing, not
Because
losing yourself in it.
yeah, you can become a Zen master. You get probably get enlightened just by going to the DMV on a daily basis.
We got to the end of the transaction where I didn't get my registration done because I had to get additional paperwork or whatever. And I was just like, oh, well, thank you so much for taking all the time. She's looking at me like I'm a crazy person because I'm sure that's not the normal reaction when she has to tell somebody, oh, you have to go and do all this other stuff first. So, well, I don't know. It's crazy. I'm dreading it. Dreading going back tomorrow. But hey, maybe we'll make some more progress. Um, yeah, you can tell where my brain's stuck. It's on all of this external moving parts related to moving this week. So keep getting lost on that.
Mm. Oh yeah, it's all serving a good end, though.
Yeah,
If anything, yeah, you could learn let go of impatience. Yeah, I
I've
would
had
say.
no choice. It's funny. Maybe I've been working on this longer than the last couple of weeks. I had to wait 3 weeks to get the funds. I had this snafu thing happen with trying to get my funds to make the purchase. It's just like one thing after another, but they're all working out. It's just teaching me patience.
Mm,
So fun. Oh, yeah. Um, gosh, I don't know. What else could we talk about this episode? I was thinking, I think I've just been pretty much watching the Neil Brennan's podcast that I talked about last week, that blocks or whatever, and just watching different comedians and actors come on talk about their blocks that they're working on.
mm.
I don't,
Any
I don't
particular
know.
ones
I guess.
stand out?
Mm-mm. No, I think the most interesting one that I watched was the Seinfeld one.
Mm,
And we talked about that last week.
mm.
I can't think of anything else I've really kind of consumed this week. Most of it's like trying to find people to work on different things with the RV.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah.
Yeah, same here. It's just work, work, work. And my work for my financial ends, and my work on myself, which, as like I said last episode, I'm always doing the same things. It's like, do I really keep talking about it? Is everybody really that interested? Um,
I'm interested.
yeah.
I'm always interested in whatever pops up.
Well, in me particular, I've been self-reflecting on my the different energies within myself that try to control things. Um, and I came to a realization that ultimately any energy that's trying to control anything is a fear that wants to keep me separate. Even saying me, um, because as long as there's if somebody is trying to control something, obviously there's somebody that wants to control something.
Hmm.
So it creates a sense of duality right there. And I really think because my intention is to transcend the whole duality, that's bringing up all the dualities that are within me. Um,
Yeah.
there's different, you come up all kinds of different, there's different energies. That using consciousness calibration has actually helped me figure out what some of them are. Seeing the patterns as they played out and throughout humanity over time and seeing them in myself. Um, but ultimately, all those energies have one thing in common is they create a sense of duality. Um, there has
Hmm.
to be a me to control. If there's no me, there's nothing to control. You see what I
Hmm.
mean? Um, so ultimately, it does seem like I'm bringing up all the things that um, truly keep me separate, um, or even saying me. Languaging, in a sense, languaging is almost you can't talk in language without creating a sense of duality. Even saying me, like
Hmm.
that's a duality. Like, um, language is a very tricky thing. As long as you're not
Yeah.
too, as long as you're not trying to cling to words, and you're trying to understand overall context, it's useful. Who cares? Um, if somebody gets the context, they won't perceive it in the duality. But the very structure of language is based on a duality of an object and a subject. like, um, but you can say the subject of trying to control by default creates an object that is the subject of control. Like so, it's like a um,
Yeah. Control's a tricky one.
mm,
I mean, when you get down to it, there's very little we actually have any control over.
mm,
It's almost nothing. But a lot of us go around with that illusion.
mm,
It's, I don't know, it's a tricky one. And it sneaks in a lot of times for me. I don't even realize that's what I'm trying to do is control something until I take some steps back.
mm. Yeah, yeah. The whole hearing experience is you're trying to control everything, basically. Like I said, and I realized that's what keeps you separate, is the
Mm-hmm.
controlling. Even a lot of the dots that dots just float up in consciousness, so to speak, but it's trying to control the dots or trying to control, jumping off of the dots and then trying to control, which is spawning new dots. And it's like the Buddhist analogy of the pond. Like every time you try to, in a sense, control or do something, you create ripples in the pond, and it gets, the more ripples, the choppier the water, and the more you don't see the reflection in the pond, and so you have to stop making ripples. Um, And when there's no more ripples, the pond is completely still, and it reflects the truth.
Hmm.
Um, um, yeah, because ironically, it's like you're creating all these ripples, and it's I think it's in psychology. It was like a study that it's like the average human can only process 40 signals at a time, whether it be their internal signals from their own internal world, thoughts and emotions, blah, 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 or external stimuli. It doesn't matter. But they can only
Hmm.
process 40 signals at once, and create a perception, which is, in a sense, a filter of the actual world. Um, and Technically, there's infinite numbers of signals around you at all times, and you're just cherry picking 40, like, and creating like this perception, which is just a filter of what's actually going on. So you're not actually seeing the real world for what it is. You can only create a perception out of those 40 signals. And the kind of tied into the Buddhist analogy of the pond is that once you stop making ripples, um, when the pond is clear, it reflects reality. Like the mind will reflect right now. The mind is just projecting onto reality and thinking it knows something, but technically it's just perception. It doesn't truly know what's going on. Um, Hawkins used to use this analogy of it's the perception of the ego is literally like a 1 in 10 thousandths of a second. It's really quick. However, you're not seeing the reality. It's like an analogy of like a tape recorder. Is technically it's like you're not listening. You're taping it first, and then you're playing back the tape. Like, but it's just going on so quickly. But because that's going on, you're not actually seeing anything for what it truly is. Because the irony is when that pond is um, totally still, you simultaneously all at once pick up all the infinite signals.
Hmm.
Um, but as long as you are using your perceptual filter of the ego and creating, I'm mixing metaphors, but I hope everybody's following. But um, as long as you're doing that, you're only picking up 40 signals out of an infinite amount of signals and thinking you
Hmm.
know what's going on, and you don't. Um, and that applies to me and spoons and everybody. Like um,
Hmm.
the body mind organism is very limiting. And so
Yeah.
um, so just know you don't see reality. You see your perception of reality.
Yeah. That's why there's always multiple sides to stories.
Yeah, exactly.
Everyone's perception is a little bit different.
Mm. And some perceptions are, yeah, also what signals are you choosing to focus upon? Which goes back
Hmm.
to what we were talking about earlier about aligning. There's a difference. You can't, you're always going to be exposed to certain energies, but are you aligning with them? Because when you aligned with them, you're picking certain signals out of that energy field. So
Hmm.
it's warping your perception. Like literally, the lower level of consciousness, the more warped the perception, and that even applies to temporary states, psychological states, or conscious states, or whatever. That's
Hmm.
why when you're angry, you always get tunnel vision, like because you're only picking within that field signals that have to do with that are going to reinforce that anger
Hmm.
or fear or desire. You're just picking signals like that, and basically the human ego, as it ties into this the scale of consciousness, is that the lower the level, the more negative signals or quote unquote certain energies are dictating what signals you're focusing upon. So
Mhm.
everybody's perception also is has various degrees of distortion as a baseline, as well as everybody has temporary bad days and bad minute or two or hour or two. But it's like if you're in those kind of energies, like you can't see the forest for the trees, so to speak. Like you're
Yeah.
only picking signals that keep reinforcing that energy. And
Yeah.
yeah.
It's fascinating. Yeah. I don't know. Talking about patterns and energy and all of that stuff. I've been seeing, I guess, a little bit different the last few weeks. Uh, like I still don't know if I can talk about it clearly enough. So that's the hard part with some of this stuff. It's like it's still kind of abstract. It's like I don't know if I have the words at this point to communicate it. But I don't know, the last few weeks I've felt less emotional is the best way to put it. 'Cause I'm pretty much a I tend to be a more emotional person, I suppose. And I don't know, that's the interesting part when you're doing the work. Sometimes you have that shift away from like your normal perception. And it's like this it's like this thing that happened where I woke up day one morning and I just didn't feel anything really. And it was like there's a clarity that comes with that. Um, and it it sort of I guess it sort of messed with me because I was just like, if my emotions kind of betray me to a certain degree, what is actually even real? It's kind of like having a metaphorical rug pulled out from under you, and you have such a shift of how you see everything around you. I don't know. I've just been kind of reeling from that the last few weeks and trying to figure out. It gives you this sense of what is real.
Mm.
So,
Yeah,
I mean, it's not.
that's the work right there. That's the contemplation, the self-reflection. What is real? What is not real? What is true? What is not true? And examining it like um to me that's a gift. It's a gift.
Maybe in a few more weeks, I'll think of it that way.
Mhm.
I'm not there yet.
Yeah.
It's unsettling. I'll give it that. I don't know. It's like going from an extremely emotional place to the opposite pole of that in a rapid succession. And I guess you eventually come back to the middle, which is the goal in all of that. At least I hope I come back to the middle. Not enjoying being on the side of the
You'll
of
be
the
all right.
pendulum swing.
You'll be all right.
I'm fine. I mean, I don't mean for it to sound like negative or a bad thing. It's just like, wow, it's
Yeah,
been a shift.
that's always how it goes. It's been my experience too. You go through periods, it could be days or weeks where suddenly something wants to finally come up to be processed, and then you have to reflect upon it and release it. And sometimes it feels like it's dragging on, and then it brings up impatience, and then you have to release that, and it's like, yeah, it's just part of how it
Yeah.
goes, I guess. But Mm. That's why I say the more you kind of like finally let go, and it could take a while sometimes. It really can. And then it's become very obvious that everything happens for a reason. Like the things that play out in the world might seem not so great at the time, but when it finally all plays out, you realized, oh, I needed that to play out for in a sense for the story to unfold so that I could get to the point where I could finally release it or reflect upon it or i.e. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's I think that's why most people don't want to do it, or they don't want to change, or they don't want to look at themselves, or they don't want to look at the world, or they don't want to, it's just um it's uncomfortable. It literally is. You have to be willing to be uncomfortable. Like,
Yeah.
um,
Well, it's at the very least very disruptive.
yeah, at the very least.
I think I think the thing with the last few months is just like I used to I felt like I used to have like a revelation, and then there was more time to kind of settle into all of that stuff before the next one came about. It
Mm,
feels like the last couple of months they just keep happening. Like, eh.
mm,
I guess at some point I just have to be like, okay, well, I'm just gonna not deal with that one.
yeah.
But it's kind of hard when you actually have stuff come up. Um, I don't know. I guess I'm in that phase where it's like, well, I suppose I could go ahead and work on that, even though I'm exhausted. I don't
Mm.
know where the line is on some of that stuff, I suppose, yet.
Yeah, I kind of always
Mhm.
look at it like this when I get into those kind of funks is like, all right, I gotta pass the quote unquote time somehow. Like, I gotta go through this life for however long it's going to last anyway. What am I gonna do with that time? Like, am I gonna deal with this and grow and make something out of this life, or am I gonna, I don't know, but suppress it and cling to the old and um, because the thing is, all those energies that you deal with are technically were always part of you. It's just now it's
Mhm.
before it was out of sight, out of mind, so to speak, but it was suppressed into the unconscious, and it was just being projected onto the world and being in denial of it, and now it's like accepting, okay, I have to. This is part of me. I got to deal with it. And now it's in the conscious mind. So it's like a different, I don't know how to put it. It's it's like you can't escape from it now. Like,
Yeah.
but technically, you never could have escaped from it anyway. It was just that
Yeah.
you're, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's all really deeply suppressed stuff, and it's like you could just push it back down, I suppose, but that doesn't feel good anymore. So like, because that's just saying that's just hitting the ignore, and it's going to come back up.
Mm,
So I suppose it's fine to also hit the ignore from time to time.
mm, like we're all we're all guilty of that, but you're gonna deal with it eventually anyway. That's that's the way I just look at it now. It's like I gotta deal with this
Yeah.
eventually anyway. Time's passing
This.
anyway. Like,
Yeah.
obviously, anything I'm doing in this world, I'm not taking with me. Any of my titles or possessions or even people, like I'm not
Mhm.
taking them with me. Like, the only thing that's eternal is the quote unquote spirit. So, am I like evolving my spirit in a sense, like, because I'm taking
Mhm.
that with me, and that's the way I look at it.
Yeah. Yeah. I suppose that's the other thing I've been wondering about is if I don't let go of this stuff, in this lifetime does it carry with me to the next one to do?
Yeah,
And that's probably more of the reason I go ahead and try to work on it now because I'm like, geez, I got a lot. I got a lot I don't
definitely
want to carry into the next one.
that's what they say how it is that you carry it on. Um, Whatever you are right now, if you drop the body right now, boop, like what you are right now, you go to like you either reincarnate into the perfect position of what the energy is you are right now,
Hmm.
um, or you go to a realm where like attracts like we were talking about the heavens and hells and like an episodes or two ago or whatever. A few
Hmm.
episodes, way few episodes back. I mean, all these episodes blend together. Like, I don't remember what episode was, but I'm sure we covered it in an episode. Um, yeah, like goes to like. So it's like either um, yeah. So if you're not happy what you are now, you might want to start doing something about it, like because you're just going to continue on in another realm or another life or whatever. Because like can only attract like. So, um,
Yeah, no, it's funny. Mm.
yeah, there's another interesting thing about consciousness research is it was determined very consistently that everybody is born with a certain level of consciousness, like a calibrated level
Mhm.
of consciousness. And the only explanation it would be the Eastern version of karma and reincarnation and why you would be born a particular energy. Like, um,
Yeah.
yeah, and it's very interesting. It's um, like people born into say a really bad neighborhood like
Hmm.
a inner city or something like that. The average like consciousness that is reincarnated is like 90 or something like that. And then
Mm.
it's like um it's almost like a chicken and egg argument when you look at it from the physical standpoint. Is this, are you being conditioned like that, or was it their condition that they spawned into that condition? You see
Hmm.
what I mean? But the
Yeah.
very fact that we're born in like I don't know, like America, a place like America, and um, shows we already karma accumulated a lot of good karma. Literally, I'm not it's like you have like so many opportunities to being born where you are. If you're listening to me on this right now, dear viewer, you were born into a very good situation, like because there are huge parts of this world that you've only seen on TV that are really radically different than if you were born in America or like Germany or something like that. There are whole countries that like calibrate in like an energy field like 40 or 50.
Oh, wow.
Well, I mean, you look at certain countries in say Africa or something like that, where everybody's starving to death and they're gonna die when they're in their thirties. Like it's like
Hmm.
have incurable diseases or it's um that are constantly, crime ridden, war torn, poverty. I mean, people think they know what poverty is because they've seen like places in America, like a ghetto or a trailer park. That's like child's play compared to what's going on in large parts of this world. So, um,
I mean, it's difficult to comprehend true poverty here for sure.
mm.
I don't know.
So yeah, it's like look on the bright side. Like you have so many opportunities. Like if just being born in say America, you have a huge opportunities like um the pursuit of life, liberty, and happiness. You literally have that. It's not just some
Mm.
fancy thing that was written into the paper. Like it's quite literal. Like It's just you also have the free will to choose if you want to do that or not. Like, but you have the opportunity is the point I guess I'm making. So
Yeah.
it has something to be grateful for. And you probably evolved a lot spiritually more than you think you did before you even came into this world to even have that opportunity the way it looks. So,
Yeah. It's fascinating. I don't know. You hear people talk about you make contracts before you come here or whatever, and you have a purpose. I wonder about that sometimes. I think we do have a purpose.
hmm,
I just don't know about did we negotiate it out ahead of time? I'm not sure. I don't know that it matters.
I don't think that matters either. I think there are subjective, same way how this life plays out like a movie. When you die, you there could be a some sort of state where it plays out in a movie, like in a movie form, where that's your experience. And
Hmm.
but ultimately, like you just said, I don't think it matters if it played out in a movie or whatever. It's the fact is you're here. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, and
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't know. I guess I've just always felt like we're here for something. I don't know. You were talking earlier about the astral projection and stuff and wanting to experiment with that and what you got out of that. And I guess that the reason I haven't been drawn to that is I've always known there's something else. I can't tell you why I know that. Um, but I've never doubted it, you know. I've had my times where I'm mad at God
Yeah,
and separated in that sense, but never like he doesn't exist or anything like that.
yeah,
God, whatever form you want to view that in. I view it, I can use various terms for that because I feel like it's all the same thing. There's something more. It's all it represents for me.
well,
So,
considering it's the source of all our existence, it's like I think everybody intuits that. A great point that was made is like if you look at history, um, people are willing to die for like just such vain things. Like forget about like, dying for your family or whatever, something like I don't know what the word honorable or whatever. Um,
mhm.
that's not the word I'm looking for. But anyway, people are willing to die for vain things. So if you really thought you're going into oblivion, you're going to cease to exist forever, why would you do that? Like, it's there must be something deep within you just because of that this isn't it. Like you might not know what's on the other side, so to speak, but on some level that this is not it. And even the atheist, on the deepest level seems to know that there's something like that. It's more in that case that they're angry at God, like
Yeah,
the way it comes off to me. Like,
yeah. They feel betrayed, I think,
you know,
or something. And I get that too.
it's like thinking you go into just oblivion is a peaceful thought. Like, if you're in that state of consciousness, you would
Mhm.
kill for oblivion. That's what everybody loves going to sleep. So, um,
Mhm.
but
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like what I've done the last couple of for the last month is just sleep.
mm,
So, it's exhausting. Um, I was thinking the other day, I really need to get back in the habit of meditating more, um, to rest with that mindset, like I was talking about last week, for rest, just to kind of recharge everything. Because I feel like I'm in this depleted state, and it just makes everything 10 times harder to do when you're in that state. Um, it's like I was, I felt like I was doing really well on my eating habits and was actually feeling really great. And then the last 3 or 4 weeks, I've just slid down the mountain. I was just like, dude, when was the last time you had anything that was remotely decent for you? And then you wonder why you feel like shit.
Mm. And I'm not saying that nutrition is a thing, so I'm not going full quote unquote full retard on it, but um it really at this point in my life really does look like it's more of your attitude towards it. Um
Hmm.
Granted, there are crap foods that have physical. I'm not saying that that's not the case, but um it's like people like always like make claims about this diet's the best, this diet's the best, this diet's the best is, maybe it is to you, but
Yeah.
I don't know. Like for a long time, I avoided fast food altogether, and I eat fast food. If I overdo it, yeah, of course, I feel like crap. But like, um, having a McDonald's cheeseburger doesn't really, in and of itself, seem to have much effect on me. Like, and eating,
The thought, the
yeah,
thought before consuming it, I think, has
yeah,
more to do with it. Yeah,
exactly.
we
That's
were
the,
kind of talking about
yeah,
that yesterday, and I was like, I think maybe I need to just start taking the time to bless my food again
yeah,
because I don't really think about it in the moment.
mm,
And it's not even necessarily so much about the food or being grateful, it's changing the mindset
exactly.
to be in that more gratitude and positive space. Because I think I'm just mindlessly eating a lot.
Yeah,
It's
changing the overall
part of
field of consciousness, like,
it.
it's like I think I was telling you yesterday, like we are discussing like vegetarian versus like eating meat or veganism and all that.
Mhm.
all of those diets just calibrate at 200, which is literally the line of complete
Neutral.
neutrality, which is the
Hmm.
same level as the placebo effect, the placebo nocebo effect. Um, and so there's truly, even though a lot of claims are made out there, it really truly looks like there's no spiritual benefit to being vegetarian or vegan versus eating meat. Like it's about the way you're contextualizing and holding it. Like for instance, if you think eating animals is wrong, for you it is wrong, and if you eat animals, you will feel like shit. Like,
Hmm.
um, but for others, that is not the case because it's literally at 200. It's whatever you project on it. It could go either direction. And another interesting thing was to discover that blessing your food actually does raise it 5 to 15 points just for blessing it.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
so there you go.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and like I said, I've just really struggled the last couple of weeks, and it's a stress response. That's an easy go-to is eating. Eating things that aren't that great for me. And I don't know. There's this thing with eating. It's grounding, and I'm not good at grounding myself,
Mm,
which is why I need to be meditating more or doing something. I just need to be doing some things besides eating to ground myself. uh, so there's a lot of that stuff going on. And, we know these things about ourselves, and we just make the little adjustments we can along the way. That's all you can do.
hmm
But yeah, I think anytime we're thinking what we're doing is bad for us, that just makes it that much worse.
Yeah, exactly. The the placebo nocebo effect is a thing. Like,
Yeah.
and that's if you actually account for that universally into any line of your thinking, you actually will get clarity on a lot of things, like a lot of things. And it doesn't I don't know how to put it, like the placebo nocebo effect. Like, when I started learning about, how they do like double blind studies to prove medicines and stuff like that, and what is it, like it has to be 6 or 7% over the placebo nocebo rate, and like already off the bat, like 60% will be cured just from the placebo nocebo effect, and everybody's like,
Mhm.
that's just the placebo nocebo effect, and I'm always like, that's pretty cool. Why don't we harness that? Like,
I mean, we could
yeah.
get into a whole other discussion about, you know, medicine that you take or medical diagnosis and what all that actually could be. If somebody tells you you have this thing and you believe them, well,
Hmm.
it will definitely manifest even if you didn't necessarily have the thing. So, it works both ways, which is fascinating.
Oh yeah.
So, your belief matters.
And I guess the statutes of limitation for YouTube is past this topic because everybody's moved on. But so I don't think this will get us flagged at this point. But like, I'm pretty sure what happened a couple of years ago. I think there was
Uh-huh.
something going around. Don't think get me wrong. It does look like something was going around, but I
Hmm.
think what the hospitals experienced was a mass hysteria brought upon by the nocebo effect. Because how many times did somebody hears that thing over and over and over and over and over and over on a daily basis, and the thing on their face reinforcing it in
Hmm.
their minds, and this just constantly poured into their mind, and then the hospitals are like, we did see lots of people come in, blah blah blah. I'm like, I don't doubt that, man, but I think if it wasn't like promoted the way it was, it would have just been another like bug.
Well, there's
Mm.
that aspect of it, and then there's this other aspect of people being sick and you not allowing them any access to the friends and family to visit.
That didn't help matters. Nope.
And how many people just died of heartache
Mm.
or suffered because of that? I
Yeah.
don't know. I'm glad I was already out of that environment because I don't think I could have witnessed that. I don't know. I don't know what I would have done in that case because I
Yeah.
can't I can't keep family from people that are sick. That's ridiculous. Um, that's part of your healing is to have people that love you.
Yeah. Big part. Yes. And I'm also very great. I wasn't in the medical profession, but I'm very glad I didn't go into the profession I was wanting to pursue, the law enforcement, to enforce all that crap. Um,
Hmm.
because I don't think I would have been able to enforce that. And yeah, so I
Yeah.
think everything happens for a reason. I'm so glad I wasn't in that career field when that played out. I would have lost
I
my
will
career.
say,
Uh,
I will say I did enjoy in 2021 traveling and I felt like I got better discounts because small businesses were suffering and the roads were not that well traveled. So I got, less traffic traveling up the East Coast. So it made for great road trips.
yeah,
Oh, people
yeah,
were
it's
too
another thing.
terrified.
I hear like the stories of what Americans experienced during that, and you guys are so lucky. You don't know, America really is the land of the free. Everybody that hates America, I don't. I just like, but it's like you would have experienced what it was like in Europe,
Yeah, I
where you
can't even
don't
imagine.
have freedom, like,
Yeah.
um, and you could not run a small business. They literally would
Yeah.
shut you down, like
Yeah.
enforcing
There's a
it.
lot.
Yeah,
Yeah. There's a lot of small businesses that failed during that time for sure, but
yeah,
it's
but
because people were too scared to get out and do the normal things. So of course economy is going to collapse a bit.
mm, Mm.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was an interesting time to live through. Um, I assume everything happens for a reason. When it comes to that, well, I guess the chain of events that took place, tracing back all the quote unquote cause and effect, led me to meet you. So,
Hmm.
and we're doing this show because of it. So, if that whole thing never happened, I would have never met you, and we ne wouldn't be doing this show right now, technically. But,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, I'm sure there are unseen benefits that we haven't seen yet. We will see. And like I said, I'm just
Yeah.
grateful I wasn't in law enforcement when that was going down.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, had that stuff not happened, I see I'd had a road trip planned with my family to go out west because I always wanted to go out west. And I didn't like to, I'd never really road tripped alone. And so they wanted to go, and then all that happened and they canceled. And I decided I still wanted to do stuff. So I figured out how to do that on my own. And I just made friends across the country and went and met new friends. Just traveled, and it was great. Um, so had all of that not happened, I wouldn't have met all of those people. And if I hadn't met those people, I wouldn't have met you. So I don't see how I would have met so many people that are like uh, important in my life now. So it's interesting. I guess I don't know
Silver lining. Everything
for
happens
sure.
for a reason. Everything happens for a reason. And yeah,
I can, I don't know, just funny thinking back. And now here I am about to move into a mobile situation, which is kind of hilarious. Even 2 years ago, I was just like, nah, I don't think I want to do that full time. And now I'm like, sounds like a plan.
yeah.
Why the heck not?
Well, that sounds pretty cool, actually. To be honest, if I lived in the States, that's what I would do.
Yeah.
Um, and here in Europe, that's not really a thing.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I've heard. Heard.
yeah. But like there's no yeah, they got campsites and stuff like that, but it's expensive. But it's not like like in the States you get cheap hookups and parks and stuff. That you can hook with your hookups and all that. You got the campsites here, but it's very expensive. And then motorhomes are very expensive. Nobody has a mobile home, quote unquote. Like,
Yeah.
that's not a thing at all. Like, but like RVs and stuff like that, people do have them, but they're way expensive. Like,
Yeah.
and you have nowhere to hook them up, and the only places you can go to are like campsites for tourists and very expensive hookups. So,
Yeah, I can imagine. I don't know. The stuff here is not that cheap as it used to be. My parents, they sold their RV business. When was it? Like maybe 2018, 2019. I can't remember. It's been so long. But the rates now that part gets is like triple what it used to. So part of that's just corporate bottom out, but part of it is just everything's so much more expensive now. But this is a cheaper option than renting an apartment at this point, which is just insane with what the rates are on that. So
mm.
it'll be interesting. I'm excited about it anyway. I'm already getting things changed in my YouTube algorithm. I noticed just from different things I've been trying to look up, and I didn't realize there was people that like sell all their stuff and just go and cruise like
Oh,
on ships year round. And I'm like, okay, well, who
yeah.
knows? Maybe this is a step to that. I've never
Yeah.
even been on a cruise though. So.
Ooh, that would be so cool. I did get to go on a cruise in Egypt. That was pretty cool. And
Uh-huh.
Sandra and I plan on doing one through Scandinavia and Great Britain, Ireland. There's like a cruise that leaves from North Germany and it goes in a circle to like Ireland, then to like the UK, and then to like Norway and Sweden, and then back down to Germany. Because
Hmm.
those Scandinavian countries are very expensive. So a cruise is like perfect because you just dock and then you get off for the day and you walk around and you go back to the cruise. But
Hmm.
I did get to go on a cruise up and down the Nile for a week in Egypt.
Oh,
That
that's
was really cool. And it stopped at all the sites, the different temples and stuff like that.
hmm.
Cruises are awesome, and I think to live on a cruise ship because it's just like a night sailing around on a hotel. Like it's like
Yeah.
be so awesome. I'd totally sign up for that lifestyle.
Yeah. I'm just I don't know. I've always like moved a lot anyway, so I'm just like, well, this just makes more sense to decrease my stuff. And maybe if I of course, my RV is pretty big. I had to measure it yesterday because my dad kept saying that, oh, it's only 35 feet, this RV that I bought, and it's 38. The last RV I owned was only 25, so I'm like, I'm really not sure about driving this, but we'll see. I'll figure it out. I drove the other one across country and came back fine, so I'm sure I'll get it figured out. It's just mm, I was glad my dad drove it yesterday to take it to their house and park. So we'll see. I figure worst case scenario, I pay somebody to move it for me if I don't want to just drive it places. So
Mm,
there's always a way. Yeah.
indeed.
Yeah, I'm just like, okay, well, there's that, and then there's cruise ships. People are just living on cruise ships. There's no telling what other ways are out there that people are just whatever. I've never even considered.
Mm, I would love to be a nomad. It just sounds so appealing to me. I don't know. Um,
I mean,
mm,
the good part about it is you can always eventually change your mind about it and just settle in a place. So
hmm
it's easy enough. I don't know. We'll see how long it lasts.
Mm. All right.
It's fun to think about. But yeah, I don't know anything else to talk about tonight,
Yeah, same
unless you
here.
know something else.
No, same here. I think we got our hour. Um, all right, guys. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. You can catch us every Monday at 3:30 Eastern Standard Time, where we premiere on YouTube, Where the Mind Wanders. Share if you enjoyed this podcast, share it around on your favorite social media platforms. Recommend us to your friends. Post in the comments if there's anything you're interested in that Spoons and I can let the mind wander upon. And yeah, we also have a Telegram channel. Um, if you just if you like to just listen and you don't need the video, that's the perfect platform for us right now, is because we have an MP3 on up there every Tuesday right after the premiere on Monday. And
Mhm.
Telegram's pretty cool because with your phone or your tablet, you can lock the screen and you can continue to listen to it. So, if perfect platform. If you don't have Telegram, I don't know why you don't. And it's like the only social media I have. I enjoy it very much.
Mhm.
Um, and we'll be on other platforms soon enough. But again, thank you for joining us. Thank you to our new subscribers. Thank you for all our listeners. And until next time.
Mhm. Yeah.